Hello and welcome to our sixth episode of Season 3 of Legal Wellbeing in Action. Today's episode highlights the various State Bar of New Mexico programs organized under the Professional Practice Group. Moderated by the PPG Director, Pam Moore, you will hear from Lawyer Assistance Program Manager Tenessa Eakins, Equity and Justice Director Dr. Amanda Parker, and Professional Development Program Director Bill Slease about all the many resources offered to State Bar members and the way these programs support lawyers' day-to-day practice and their well-being in the practice of law. Our speakers will also provide a preview of the many educational programs and opportunities to connect that will be offered at the State Bar annual meeting beginning July 27, 2023, which will include 2 sessions dedicated to information about certified professional coaching resources. We hope you enjoy today's episode, and we appreciate you listening.
All right, Bill, thank you very much for that introduction. And today we are talking about the State Bar of New Mexico 2023 annual meeting. And today in this podcast, we are going to be highlighting some of the State Bar programs that will be featured at annual meeting. These programs are all under the umbrella of the Professional Programs Group. And there are actually 4 programs under the Professional Programs Group, but we are going to be highlighting 3 of them today. And then we will also be talking a little bit more in depth about a feature of one of them. And so that is where we are headed today with this podcast. So if you don't know anything about the Professional Programs Group and what programs are under it and what they do and what's free to you and what's going to be at annual meeting, then stay tuned because that's where we're going. So my name is Pam Moore, and I oversee the Professional Programs Group. And for today, I'm going to be your moderator. And as I introduce each one of our speakers, I will be saying their name, and then they will tell you a little bit about themselves as we head through this podcast. So my first program that I want to highlight today is the Lawyer Assistance Program. And with me to talk about the Lawyer Assistance Program is Tenessa Eakins. Hello, Tenessa.
Hello, Pam, and hello to our listeners. As Pam mentioned, my name is Tenessa Eakins, and I am the manager for the New Mexico Lawyer Assistance Program. And I do have to say it's kind of nice being on the other side of this. Usually it's me doing the recording. I've been kind of doing the podcast for the last 3 years, so I'm excited to be an actual person talking. So thank you for having me, Pam.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for being here. So Tenessa, for those of our listeners that really don't know much about the LAP or what the LAP does or any of the free things that are available to them through the LAP, can you please at a high level just explain what the LAP is, what they do, and the free stuff, and then we'll get into how the LAP is showing up at annual meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. So at a high level, what the LAP does, it's a program within the State Bar. It's there for all of our membership and of course their direct family members for the resources itself. And it's a program that focuses on confidential professional services to help individuals identify and address problems with alcohol, drugs, anxiety, depression, and really some other mental health and emotional struggles. In terms of those resources, there's 2 different ways that they're kind of categorized. One of them being more of a responsive area. We do have a hotline available for attorneys, paralegals, judges to call us and ask for resources. We do have a peer support network of volunteer attorneys that come in and join our committee that are willing to come out and do like mocktail bars with us or help us answer hotline calls. The more proactive side is like I just mentioned, we'll go out and we'll go to the bar exam and we'll put on a mocktail bar and we'll greet the students after they come out of the war of taking that test all day. Or we'll go and do presentations and that ranges from issues or topics that people are really interested in or maybe struggle within a practice type, such as compassion fatigue or anxiety or depression. And so there's a few different resources. One of the bigger ones that I neglected to mention, going back to that reactive side, is the free counseling. That's huge. And I can't tout that enough. Anybody within the state bar, anybody with a membership and their direct family members have access to free counseling through a program called the Solutions Group, who we contract with. And really what that looks like is you get 4 free counseling sessions per issue per year. And what that means is, let's say you have a death in the family. You can get those 4 free sessions, and then, you know, maybe 6 months later, you're having some relationship issues. That's another 4 free sessions. And so this is a brief focused solutions counseling. So this is really short-term counseling. It is for issues that you want to attack in the moment with somebody who's trained to hold that. However, if you do find yourself either liking that service and wanting it for long-term, the Solutions Group will absolutely help you find another counselor. So I can't tout that enough. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I covered that. But we have quite a few resources. I could probably use this whole podcast to do it, but I won't do that.
Okay, great. Thanks, Tenessa. Thanks for giving us a high-level overview of the Lawyer Assistance Program and all the wonderful things that it provides for our New Mexico members. So let's get into the annual meeting. How's the lap going to show up at annual meeting?
You know, and for those of the people listening that have seen us before, it'll be a little bit different this year, and it's kind of exciting for me. I've been to one in-person annual meeting previously, but now that we are under the professional programs group, we are going to be side by side with other programs. But what we tend to do is not only have a table and really kind of display some of the resources that I just touched on, but we also love to bring what I would call wellness or well-being activities or items. And that comes in the form of therapy dogs, chair massages. Last year we had a chiropractor, which was the belle of the ball. That was amazing. We're looking to possibly do acupuncture. Can't confirm that yet. Really how we like to show up for the annual meeting is we want to, of course, educate and let people know, hey, this is available to you as attorneys, as judges, as law students, whoever's showing up that day, but also really kind of be able to introduce and give people an opportunity in between sessions or on a break to come get a chair massage or a massage and relax, hang out, and kind of meet those who work at the state bar.
Great. And so I also know that you guys, because I'm part of the lab too, don't provide chair massages or have the chiropractor all day long. So where can somebody find what time the chair massages are going to be available, what day, the chiropractor, maybe the acupuncturist, and then I know another big hit is also our therapy dogs. So how do they know when those are going to be at the annual meeting?
So I do know that the State Bar, of course, releases a schedule. So all of that will be posted if it's not posted already. But if you're also trying to tune in to figure out about LAP or any of the other programs that we're going to be talking about today, we do have social media. We have the portion of our website, which is on sbnm.org. And so if anybody listening to this podcast really does want to know what it is we're bringing, we have a few avenues. Of course, check the State Bar website for that agenda for what's going to be there and what time and where we are, but also come over to our Facebook. It's the New Mexico Lawyer Assistance Program, and you can find everything that we are particularly involved in and a much more in-depth view, honestly.
Great. So let me just mention a couple other things that we're going to have at annual meeting. One, the other thing that we usually provide is meditation. So we will have a guided meditation, I believe, on Thursday evening at annual meeting. And then we'll have our mocktail bar. We've done that every year that we've had an in-person annual meeting. So we'll be bringing our mocktail bar on Friday night. And then we also provide an attorney support group meeting early on Friday morning. And that's right before breakfast starts. There will be several of our attorneys from our Lawyer Assistance Program Committee that will be out there and will be leading a 12-step meeting that morning. So we really want to encourage everybody to show up. Tenessa, if somebody is, I've gotten this before, people aren't always, enthusiastic to go talk to the Lawyer Assistance Program. We try to entice people with lots of swag and chocolate and handouts. But what would you say to somebody that's maybe not so sure that they want to go talk to the lawyer assistance program about, I don't know, maybe a struggle that they think they might be having, or maybe one of their partners or peers may be having, or maybe it's a staff in their office. What would you say to them?
You know, for anybody listening to this podcast now and just kind of learning what it is that's available to you, and I understand sometimes those conversations are not easy to have, whether that's a personal thing, whether it's fear of repercussion, it's a very hard conversation. And so if you're listening today and maybe there is something you want to talk about for yourself or for others, there are different ways to reach me. Attached to this podcast is contact information for all of us. But if you don't want to come up to us at the annual meeting, which I really hope that you do, just to meet who's behind the scenes and learn about more that we do, but also what's available, you can always reach out to me privately, whether that's the hotline, my email. I would just really encourage anybody, if they need assistance for themselves or somebody else, don't wait, don't hesitate. Between Pam and I, which that's who works within the lab, it's Pam, myself, and Amanda Gandara is our assistant. I mean, we're a pretty small group, and we don't bite, I promise you. So if you don't want to approach us, I hope that you do, but there are some different ways that you can contact us, and we are here.
Great, thank you, Tenessa. And I will also say that we recently got a new hotline phone number. So Tenessa, I'm going to ask you to share that hotline phone number. And can people just call it, or do they have the option now to call or text you?
They do have the option to text. And so for anyone listening, that hotline number is 505-420-8179. So as Pam was saying just now, you can call me and let me know what it is you might need resource-wise, or maybe you just want to talk, but you also have the availability to text. And I know, sometimes given the nature of what it is that someone might need help with, it's sometimes just easier to text, hey, I'm looking for free counseling, can you send me that number? Or, hey, I have a really big issue, can I just run something by you and see what kind of resources might be available. So whether it's talk or text, you can do both.
Great. Thank you, Tenessa. All right. Thank you very much for that. And I am going to move on now to our equity and justice program. And
Thank
with
you very
me,
much, Pam.
Yeah, thank you, Tenessa. Great information. With me from our equity and justice program is Dr. Amanda Parker. And Amanda, thank you for being here. And I'm going to have you kind of do the same thing as I want you to tell people a little bit about you and your background and what is equity and justice at the State Bar.
Well, thank you for having me, Pam. I really appreciate being included on this podcast. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Amanda Parker, and I have been at the bar for 2 years. Almost at this point. And this is a new program at the bar. It's called the Equity and Justice Program, and it's to address inequity and diversity and inclusion and justice and belonging, all of the ways we're talking about how to build a more inclusive legal community and a way to do systems change and culture change within the profession when it's related to being more dealing with basically equity issues within the profession. So I know that sounded circular. I'm so sorry. So there are all sorts of different things as an overview of the program that I have been working on with many community partners, whether it's the Black Lawyers, the New Mexico Black Lawyers Association, or the Equity and Justice Commission, the Diversity Committee, the Committee on Women. There are many different partnerships I have out in the legal community, that the LGBTQ bar as well. That I have out in the legal community that I that I collaborate with to start dealing with some recommendations that came out of reports in 2020. And those reports can be found online, and people usually like to look at those. So I'll give you the website as we close out for how you can just go and look at everything that's in one place. So I do education and training, so I can come to your firm I do CLEs. I've been doing a lot of different presentations in different settings. And that's something that you can reach out for. And, with any sort of educational plan, the good thing about being able to just call me in is I'm able to customize it to what you think you need in your firm or your organization. I don't take a one size fits all approach. So that's not something that you would, I'm not mandatory everyone all the time. So my background, just to let you know a little bit about me, is I am from Albuquerque, and I have been doing this work for, I don't know, about 15 years in different capacities. My doctoral studies are focused on race and gender and that intersection. And I've been doing anti-racist education for a long time. So I'm trying to give as broad an overview as I can. And I would also just like people to know there are learning groups and book groups that are running, and there's information on the website for those as well, and all are always invited. So I don't know, what do you think? Was that a good job, Pam?
Yeah, no, that was good. No, that was really good. Yeah, so there's a lot. So what, there's a lot of different places that people can go, the website, to look for what you're doing. And I guess what I see is you're doing a lot in a lot of different areas. And I think there might be people out there that just don't know where to start, and they just don't even know maybe even the right questions to ask. And so, I would, you tell me what else they should do, but I would encourage them to start with the website and start looking at the website, but also just call you or email you and say, I don't even know, really anything about this topic. I'm totally don't even know the right words, and I don't even know the right words sometimes. And so can we just have a conversation about, where, my law firm and maybe where I'm at, even if I'm solo and small firm, and how I should move forward, because I do want to know, I do want to be inclusive. It's a more healthy environment to be in when everybody's included and we use the right language. And it's a more productive way to be in the world, professionally and personally. And so would that be a good start for somebody?
Absolutely. And I would love it. I want as many people to reach out to me as possible. That's why I'm so excited about annual meeting. I make new connections, meet people in person. I know that there are folks who've been doing this work for years, and then there are folks who have just become interested. And so I just welcome you to reach out. I don't bite. So we do offer those consultation and coaching services, which is with the intention of one-on-one problem solving, having a discussion, finding out what's going on, and even helping people work through their own thinking through a problem. I'm a resource for that as well. So yes, absolutely, reach out.
Great. And all these conversations are confidential, correct?
Yes. Yes,
absolutely.
They are.
Okay. So I know you have are involved in several sessions. And I don't know if there's a plenary, but I know there's several sessions you're involved in an annual meeting. So tell us what we can expect from EIJ at annual meeting.
Well, this year we have an equity and justice track that includes 3 sessions, and most of them are a replay highlighting CLEs during this last year or so that went really well and drew a large crowd that we thought people would like to see again. So I'm not presenting this year, but I am introducing these 3 different sessions. One is with lawyers from ACLU and the Women's Bar, who are going to be presenting on the Dobbs decision and the implications for women's health care in New Mexico. And that will be moderated by Erin Marshall, who's the chair of co-chair of the Committee on Women in the Legal Profession. The other session is sponsored by the LGBTQ bar, and will be presented by members of that bar talking about how to advocate for trans clients, an overview of the implications of legal implications going on right now in our state and different states, and how to advocate for LGBTQ clients. And then the final one is a replay as one that Asia Brooks and Tori Jacobus have done. And that has to do with New Mexico's law on anti-discrimination regarding hair. So in most of the places it's called the Crown Act, but really discussing and how that discrimination has played out in the workforce and what it was like to go through the process of making that specific form of discrimination illegal in New Mexico. So
great. That's fantastic. And you'll be at annual meeting, correct?
I sure will be. I'll be at a table with you all, with LAP and with Bill Slease, and I will be out in the hallway with everyone, hoping that you'll stop by and talk to me and be able to give you more information about the program, but really hoping to make those face-to-face connections that create the community that we need to move forward. And I think if people are considering or they're on the fence about going to annual meeting, last year it was really nice to see people coming together, putting all of our Zoom faces with in-person contact and making friends and getting to know each other. And I'm in touch with people I met last year. So it is a space, if you're interested in equity and justice, and many of us that are doing kind of equity work or DEI work in different capacities, even in the legal profession, we're usually the only one doing it in our spaces. And so it's nice to come together and just meet each other and have those conversations. And I also just love meeting the lawyers and judges that are involved in the annual meeting. So I hope people will stop by if they're out there.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And I guess the last thing is I was thinking while you were talking is there might be a lot of people or a few people out there that really want to get involved. And that may be one of their questions is, how do I get involved in these events, in these educational presentations? And what do I need to do if I want to be an ally in the legal profession? Where can I get involved? So what is your answer to that?
Well, there are several different spaces that you can get involved. So I can help you figure out if you want to join one of the committees or how you want to interact with the community, or do you want your particular organization to start having their own learning group, for example, or talking about that. But I do want to say that the book club that I co-run with Tori Jacobus of the New Mexico Supreme Court's Equity and Justice Commission, that book club has become quite a space of community. And so it's every other Tuesday. We're switching books, but we are holding that time. That's a spot to come and get involved and see how that group talks about getting organized and more community focused. There's also a learning group that is run where we're going over foundational concepts, but really these are spaces where people are making the connections that are deep enough to sustain us in the work and say, okay, I want to get involved, but I want to meet other people getting involved. So those are other spaces. There's also CLEs that are offered throughout the year. We had a great turnout with the Women's History Month. So those are spaces where come and attend and meet people and see how you can get involved. We are having the Juneteenth event will have passed, but that's another example of a space that creates that sense of community. But I would say if you want to get involved, reach out to me, and there's space for every single person in the movement, however it is they're entering. So
great. Thank you, Amanda. All right. I think that's it. All the questions I have for you. So thank you. Is there anything that you wanted to add? Did you say you wanted to add a website, or you wanted to tell somebody about?
Yes,
yeah.
Let me give you the website, and I'll just say it out loud because it's easy, but you can go to www.sbnm.org/EIJ.
Okay, so sbnm.org/EIJ.
Yes. And yeah, so reach out. So thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for all your work, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right, and now I'm going to move on to Bill Slease. And Bill is the director of our professional development program. So Bill, I need you to explain professional development program and what you do and how what lawyers could find if they looked on the website, and if, why somebody would need to call you.
Yeah, thanks, Pam, and thanks to the listeners, and thanks for having me and giving me a little time to talk about the Professional Development Program, or as we refer to it, PDP. And it's basically, for lack of a better term, and maybe one that people will be more familiar with, it's a law practice management program. And I give a lot of credit to our executive director at the State Bar, Richard Spinello, who a couple, 3 years ago now, came to me and we talked about the prospect of me working on the law practice management aspect for lawyers, really a sort of a continuation and a vision of how you proactively assist lawyers with best practices, with compliance with the rules of professional conduct, and really just giving those resources, making them available to our entire practicing bar. And that's really where the program is founded and where it's headed. And again, I think the credit really goes to Richard for having the vision of how that program could work. And so we do a number of things. You can find them all on the State Bar website under the Professional Development Program tab, and that's under the Member Services list on our website. We've got best practice tips, we've got newsletters, we've got worksheets, we've got checklists, we've got some forms. We do periodic articles. We've got information on succession planning, and some of the things that I think are exciting there and that hopefully will be helpful to lawyers. We've got how-to manuals, including the trust accounting how-to manual, which the disciplinary board really was the pioneer of that, and really will lay out for lawyers sort of their obligations. We've got some other how-to manuals on that on the website as well. A lot of information, as I said, on succession planning, but we started a number of CLE programs, including one that I'm really excited about that we partner with the Professional Liability Insurance Committee. And that's our Lunch and Learn series, where the third Wednesday of every month, we take an hour and lawyers can get an hour of CLE credit for a very discrete topic that's really built around best practices and, again, compliance with the rules of professional conduct. For example, yesterday we did our May Lunch and Learn, and that was around best practices when you're intaking new clients, what you should think about to hire clients, and what happens when the relationship is going to have to terminate early. What does termination look like, and what are best practices there, and compliance with the rules. Normally it's either myself and one of the members of that LPLI committee, or sometimes just one of them. We've got a couple other topics coming up that hopefully will be of interest, including some cybersecurity issues that our own IT professional here at the State Bar, Jerry Miller, is going to help with. We're going to do one on social media, and so that kind of thing on the Lunch and Learn series. We have, of course, other CLEs that we offer, and this year we're working on a How to Practice series for lawyers who are wanting to learn new areas of practice. My initial voyage there is hopefully going to be into the family law area. We do offer self-assessments online. They're truly online self-assessments. We have 9 of them in various areas that lawyers can go into our website. They can take an online assessment, completely anonymous, completely confidential. The only thing that I would see is general reporting information after several people have taken it, so that I know if there's an area that we need to do some additional training, maybe we need some additional checklists or forms, I can gather that information. But I'll have no idea who took it, if they completed it. They can take it 10 times if they want, or 1 time. But hopefully what it's giving them in real time is feedback on best practices. So we have one on intake, we have one on fees and costs, we have one on trust accounting, and lawyers can take it. It's definitely not critical. It's not a let's see if you can get an A or a B or a C or an F. It's how do I do better, or am I already doing really what's considered best practices? The program also offers an ethics helpline, so you can call me directly at 505-797-6079, 505-797-6079. If a lawyer has a question about that lawyer's own prospective conduct and best practices, compliance with the rules of professional conduct, I won't become the lawyer, I won't tell them what to do, but what I will do is spend some time talking with them about rules they should consider, and areas in which they should think about maybe doing a little additional research, what I am aware of in terms of what's out there in the ethics opinions and that sort of thing. So that ethics advice, that ethics helpline is out there. And then we've also got one of our tabs that I know you're going to talk about a little bit more today, Pam, which is our professional coaching. And it's access to a list of coaches, professional coaches, certified professional coaches who can assist lawyers in developing professionally and personally. One of the things we found out through a member survey last year is that lawyers are really interested in having the ability to access certified professional coaches. And so really, again, and I give some credit to Richard, but also to you, Pam, because you really helped me think through what that certified professional coaching tab should look like and help me reach out to some of those people who are working in that space. And so we've got a lot of, I think, really exciting things. One thing I want to emphasize for lawyers who use the services, it's anonymous, it's confidential. I've got a rule that actually protects confidentiality. So if you want to call me and just talk through issues, I've got a confidentiality provision that that protects you and protects me from having to disclose that. And so my hope is that the services continue to be used, and I have seen, I'd say this year in particular, a fair amount of growth, especially in the ethics advice and the ethics helpline. And of course, my hope is that that continues.
Yeah, great. Wow. I mean, like, you're talking through all this and I'm thinking, wow, that's a lot. And I'm also, I want to emphasize, or I really want to iterate that I believe, and we have talked about this, that everything that is offered through PDP is not just for the first time, the brand new lawyer, but the education and everything that you offer spans the entire time that you are in practice. I think there's something that PDP offers that would benefit every lawyer, no matter how long they've been practicing, no matter if they're in solo and small firm, if they're in a larger law firm, if they're in a state organization. I mean, I just really see it as very all-encompassing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think just the ability to really reach out and to try to connect with lawyers and help them from where they're coming from, whether it's a big firm or a solo practitioner, to try to build those resources for them and to give them the ability to find a way to improve their practice. And again, my approach is not you're doing this wrong, let me tell you how to fix it. My approach is, here's what you're really doing that's great. If that's your question, here's some resources if you want to move in a different direction. If you want to do it a little bit differently, here's what is going on, best practices around the country. And I'm also excited because it's not just that I'm drawing locally and connection with some of the people in the local bar who are really skilled and expert at some of the practice management skills that hopefully I can bring to the table for other lawyers, but I'm connected with a national practice group that does the same thing. And so bringing home some of their technology ideas and some of their resources that they're willing to share and making them, New Mexico's, I think we really have some ability to really help lawyers in the way that they practice. And of course, one of the other big parts of it is a connection to the Well-Being Committee. And so I'm a real firm believer, and I'm active in the Well-Being Committee. I think that that lawyers can find a way to truly thrive and enjoy the practice of law, and I want to find ways to help them do that as well.
Perfect. And then lastly, I do want to talk about, or I want you to tell everybody how PDP is showing up at annual meeting, because I think you are also doing some breakout sessions that are going to be very popular at annual meeting.
Yeah, so PDP is showing up in a number of ways, as Dr. Parker mentioned. I'll be at that table with her and with Tenessa and with you and with Amanda, and so there'll be a group of us there that are highlighting what the professional program group does, including PDP. But on the breakout session, Judge Josh Allison and I are going to be doing a session on best practices and rules of professional conduct that are implicated when you're appearing virtually before courts, and how that works. We're going to be doing a hot topics in ethics that'll include a little bit of technology and cybersecurity issues. If you need your trust accounting credit for your 3-year compliance, I'll be doing an early bird trust accounting session out at the annual meeting. And I'm going to be helping Justice Thompson on ethical issues associated with artificial intelligence and using that in the practice of law, and whether you should be using it and what the risks and the benefits are. And so a lot of exciting stuff, and I love being at an annual meeting, love getting the opportunity to connect with some lawyers that I knew from back in the day and to meet some new lawyers. And so it's a great time, and I'll be wandering around and out there the whole time.
Fantastic. Thank you, Bill. That is a lot. And it sounds like all those sessions are going to be great. So I'm hoping that to attend all of them. So thank you. Any last words or anything else you want to say to our listeners? You gave your phone number. Where can they reach you if they want to email you?
They can also email me. It's william.slease, S-L-E-A-S-E, williams.slease@sbnm.org. And they can call me at any point. And yeah, I'm just excited to be here, and excited to have an ability to reach out and connect with lawyers.
Yeah, super exciting. All right. Thank you, Bill. Really appreciate your time today. And that was a great overview and very exciting topics at annual meeting.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for letting me have the time to talk about it.
All right, absolutely. All right, I am going to move on to our next topic, which will be coaching. And it is what I had mentioned in the beginning, is that we were going to feature a part of one of our programs, and that program is our professional development program that Bill just talked about. And the feature within that program is professional coaching. And so with me today, I have Judith Gordon. Hello, Judith.
Hi, Pam. I'm so excited to be speaking to you. This is great.
Yeah, nice. So thank you for being here and talking to me about this. This is a topic that is near and dear to my heart, as you know. And you and I are going to be talking about it at annual meeting. And so I'm going to go ahead and let you tell our listeners a little bit about you, so they know who you are and your background, and what kind of a little bit of an overview of how you see coaching in the legal profession, because you are an expert in both of those areas. And so I would really like you to talk to all of our lawyers out there, and maybe let's dive in a little bit about coaching and the benefits, and then what we'll be talking about at annual meeting.
That sounds great. I want to start by saying that it was fascinating to me to hear about all of the programs you've just talked about from your prior speakers, and I was taking notes. There's so many exciting things that are going to be happening at the annual meeting. I'm really excited about being there in a couple months, right? So a little bit about me. My name is Judith Gordon. I am a professional coach and team facilitator, trainer, and I work primarily with attorneys, because I am a former practicing attorney. I went through my own a midlife attorney crisis, if you will. I discovered a lot of tools and resources. I'd always had an interest in emotional and social intelligence. I'd been studying that. And then ultimately what I did was I married the two. So I like to say that what my work does is it closes the gap between legal education and actual practice. How do we thrive in the practice of law? And the reason for that is I wasn't thriving, and I wanted to know how to do that. And when I looked around, I saw that many people weren't thriving as well, and that's unnecessary. We can practice law. We can enjoy it, as Bill mentioned. We can thrive in practice. We can be high performing without burnout. And so what my practice does is I focus on equipping attorneys, firm leaders, practice groups with tools, skills, and strategies that equip and empower them to be high performing without burnout, to manage the stresses of practice, to create a collaborative environment and a collaborative culture. We know that collaborative environments, which is not typical in law firms tend to be very solo. People get an assignment, they do their assignment, they turn it in. But when teams, when practice groups actually collaborate, it not only increases enjoyment and retention, but it increases the bottom line. There's research within the legal profession that shows that a collaborative culture in a law firm increases the bottom line. So there are so many reasons to engage in this type of coaching and training. It serves everyone.
Great.
So yeah, in short.
Yeah, I love that. And you and I recently had a conversation about coaching and how the legal profession seems to be a little bit behind when it comes to just professional coaching in general. And so what is your take on why the legal profession would be behind in terms of other industries is kind of what I'm talking about. And then, if we have the people that are listening are going to say, wow, we're behind. Why is that? And really, how can you named a lot of benefits, but in the state of New Mexico, we're mostly solo and small firm. So how would they benefit as solo and small firm, or even in a state organization by hiring a coach? And then let's get into how long do I need to do coaching? All of that. So, but let's start with why we're behind.
Yeah, so, excuse me. I'm so sorry. Wait 1 second. So when we go through legal education, our education is focused on analytical thinking. And one of the things that I share with my students, I teach at UCLA Law School, is that cognitive thinking, analytical thinking, is a cognitive skill, not a life skill or a relational skill, the kind of skills that we need in practice to engage with clients, to engage with colleagues, to engage with judges, that we need to engage with juries, with witnesses. These are the types of skills that are not taught in law school that are essential to legal practice. And so if we're always only thinking in terms of analytical thinking or cognitive thinking, we're missing out on a whole bunch of other skills that we need to be successful in law practice and to thrive in law practice. So that is, I would say, one of the reasons that the legal profession might be lagging is because this training is so steeped in precedent and in tradition, and the legal profession is generally slow to adapt. And that's not just me saying this. We know this. We were lagging a little bit in technology. I was thrilled to hear Bill Slease mention AI, because AI is going to become essential in how we practice law. And we're going to need to know how to use it very, very soon and very quickly. So that's an area in which, and other areas in which we really need to catch up. So in terms of the social and emotional intelligence competencies that attorneys need to really thrive and enjoy their practice of law, some of the issues that I've seen that attorneys have worked with me on are high performance without burnout. How do I sustain my high performance when I'm working on complex matters? I'm working 18 hours a day. I'm not sleeping well. I have a family, or I don't have time to go do things I enjoy with my friends. And we tend to get so involved in the work that we forget about the things that support and sustain us, but also we've never actually been trained in high performance mindset. How do athletes, for example, sustain high performance? They're under a lot of stress. They have to perform in front of crowds. How do they do that? I mean, attorneys too have to perform in front of judges, in front of juries, or in depositions. And how do we know? We have to know we have to understand what's happening in our brains when we're in these high demand, high intensity situations. when we understand that, and then we get the tools for managing that, then we're able to cope with all of these situations at a much, much higher level.
Right, right. I love that. Yes. And you and I had talked about coaching is more of a partnership. It's not, we talk about kind of what it's not counseling, it's not consulting, it's not mentoring, there's no power differential. It is a partnership, and both parties, the coach and the lawyer, come in with their own skill set in this partnership. And it is a very dynamic conversation, and one that is trained in asking some very in-depth questions, and also maybe guiding at times, depending on what type of coach you have. So anything you want to say about that kind of that coaching relationship? And we will get into this more at annual meeting, but I think a lot of people might be going, well, how does that work?
Yeah. So in my experience, if maybe I can just give a few examples, and that might be illustrative. Some of the attorneys who've come to work with me, for example, one had a mental block, and she was the managing partner of her small firm, but it was getting in the way of her ability to practice. And it took us 4 sessions for her to wipe out that mental block and overcome it. So that is one type of situation. Other situations are just managing the stresses. When we understand actually our physiology, I like to say our physiology was designed to support us. When we understand our physiology, it puts us in charge, and we know exactly when we feel the stress response coming on and how to manage that and how to actually exploit that stress energy to our advantage in a stressful situation. So there's a lot of skills, tools, and strategies involved. To your point about it not being counseling or therapy, coaching is future focused. So it's, where am I now? Where do I want to go? What's getting in my way? How do I do what I do better? How do I do what I do to the best? And is there another practice area that I might be more suited to? Is there alignment between my values and my practice? And when there's a mismatch, then our well-being tends to decline. So is there a mismatch, or am I well matched, well suited to my work? And if I am, how can I be even better? But if I'm not, where could I go? What areas of practice? Because I really, really believe that there is an area of practice for everyone. Sometimes people think, oh, I shouldn't be practicing law, but no, the legal practice is so diverse. There are so many different ways that we can express ourselves in the legal profession. So I believe very strongly that understanding who you are, what drives you, what motivates you, and matching that with the type of practice you're interested in will really help you thrive in the practice of law.
Fantastic. I love that. All right. I could talk, you and I could talk about this for an hour or so or more. And we are going to do that at annual meeting. We will have a plenary. It is on Saturday morning. I think it starts at 8:30. Judith and I are also going to do a breakout session, which is right after that plenary, where we will be giving you some experiential exercises and walking through that with you to give you a taste of coaching. Super duper exciting. Judith, if anybody, whoever is listening and they wanted to get in touch with you before annual meeting or after annual meeting, where can people find you?
Yeah, so my website is judith-gordon.com, judith-gordon.com. And they can reach out to me right there.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the information. Please, please, please join us at annual meeting for more about coaching. And Judith will be there all day on Friday and on Saturday. And I know she would be happy to talk to anybody that would want to pull her aside and say, hey, tell me more about this. And you can find her on the website she just gave. And so Judith, thank you for being here. Really appreciate the conversation.
Thank you.
We want to thank everybody that listened to this podcast. This is Legal Wellbeing in Action, and join us for our next episode in August.
Thank you for listening. This episode was produced by the State Bar of New Mexico's Wellbeing Committee and the New Mexico Judges and Lawyers Assistance Program. All editing and sound mixing was done by Blue Sky eLearn. Intro music is by Gil Flores. The views of the presenters are that of their own and are not endorsed by the State Bar of New Mexico. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, or legal advice. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition.